Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of These Corona Times. You are tuned in with your girl Tiffany, Dr. Simone, and your boy Brandon.
I'm back to being last, I see.
Yes.
You got the top of my screen though, friend. You got the top of my screen.
You're at the bottom of my screen. That's what happens when you come on last. You want to be announced first? Come online earlier, okay? That's all I have to say. Good evening, friends. We are back.
Man,
What?
If that's the case, I should have been first because I was waiting. It said waiting for host to start meeting.
But I'm the host.
I was here.
I'm the first person.
I was here.
But I'm the host.
No, ma'am.
By default.
I was waiting on the host. They asked me if I was a host, log in, but I couldn't.
That is true. You know what? Don't hung me up on technicalities, okay? I don't need this type of abuse. As I was saying, welcome to episode 50 of These Corona Times. We have been away on our sliding summer solstice.
Sliding summer schedule.
Yes. We have a very, record when we feel like it type schedule during the summer. And that's because people are taking vacations and things are happening. Adjustments are being made. So we're all good with that. But we are
right around the corner for some folks.
Yes. It's almost over, so we're enjoying it while we can. But we are back with episode 50, When Leadership Disappoints. And I will not orient you. I won't tell you anything about the show. I will instead just say, thank you so much for joining us for 50 of these things. This is a milestone. This is a mark, even though we made it.
It is.
Yeah. 50 episodes deep. That's a thing we did.
That's important. We should have done something. We should have had some confetti.
We should have had the confetti.
Something.
If you got confetti you holding out on? You got confetti with you?
I don't. So it was Simone.
I can tear up some paper.
That's exactly what she did last time. I think it was episode 25.
That's exactly what I did.
And she threw paper in there.
Had someone else clean it up.
Yes. That's so mean.
If you're a new watcher or whatever, for us, we were only supposed to do this short term. We had no thoughts about getting to 50. We didn't even know if it was going to last past last summer or anything like that. So this is a pretty big deal, I guess.
Big deal.
50 topics. I didn't know we had 50 topics to talk about, to be honest.
No. Well, the world keeps giving us topics.
It keeps giving.
I mean, we said we would be here as long as Corona allows, and now it's Delta. Delta is allowing.
Delta Lambda 5.
Delta Lambda Nu.
Yes. Delta's.
What was that show? This is really off top. What was that little movie where they were like?
What movie is it?
I don't know.
The dance movie. The dance movie.
Oh, the one with Chris Brown in it.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. They were doing some odd stuff in that movie, Simone.
Oh wow! I thought he was talking about Bring It On.
No, Columbus Short was in that movie. Now I'm gonna have to look at it.
Columbus Short was in it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was.
Thetas.
Yeah, they were rapping thetas. They were going like this.
I remember. I'm gonna go look it up after this.
Black folks, if y'all in the chat right now, type in what the movie is called because we don't know. We can't remember. But I wasn't finished. So let me finish my part and just say thank you all for watching. If this is your first time joining us, we invite you to go back and listen to or watch all 49 of our previous episodes. You can do so on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else podcasts are heard.
Podcast.
Yes.
Did you say Spycast?
No, I said Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Okay.
Anywhere podcasts are heard. You could also watch us on YouTube or Facebook at These Corona Times. And thank you. Subscribe, listen, watch, share, all those things.
Yes. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
I think it said we had one new view yesterday or today. I was looking on my Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, These Corona Times has one new view.
And there are so many I would say go back and watch, but last episode 49, with Pastor Tim on it was a really good episode. If I say so.
Yes, it was.
Go back and watch that for sure. I mean, he's, especially if you live in Louisville, he's a future, he is a mayoral candidate for our next election. Yes. So if you're curious in knowing a little bit more about his platform or just getting some insight on who he is as a person and a pastor, it'd be a great one to go back and watch.
Ma'am, we are going to you're getting into the acknowledgement.
No, I'm not doing anything outside of my lane.
You're being reckless.
Lies.
So let's see. So how did you all practice self-care this past week? Silence.
What is that?
Oh, I know how I did.
What is it?
I know how I did.
What did you do, Brandon?
I have been working on my social media and being on it less. And so there were like 1 or 2 days this week where I wasn't on it at all. And I went to bed at 9 o'clock a couple of days this week.
Wow. Now that's I really like the part about the not being on the social media. You said I've been working on my social media and not being on it as much.
Yeah.
Which is really good because every week I get a report and every week I'm higher than I was the week before.
You got screen time report.
Yeah, you were on it 3 more hours than last
you were
week.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I know why. It's because you're sending us stories to watch. That's why. That's why you're on there.
There's a lot to watch.
A lot to watch. Well, always when Brandon goes first, he reminds me of things that I have done. So I also went to bed early this week. But it was because of circumstance, not choice. The sleep came for me and I had no choice but to go to bed. So I went to bed before my usual bedtime, which is somewhere around 12:30 to 1 on a regular day. I was definitely in bed around, but I don't get up as early as y'all. So remember that. I get up at like 8 or 9. So for me to go to bed at 12:30.
She gets up when the African angels tell her to get up.
When they tell me to
we get up when our children tell us. I get up when my child, Mommy.
Well, you get a tap on. That's what's up. You get a tap. I get jumped on.
No, I don't get jumped on.
That's because your son wants
get right in my face. Yes. Just like
protein.
I want protein.
Give me protein, Daddy. Uncrustables and protein.
And he wants the whole Uncrustable. Don't you give him half. I want the whole
Uncrustable. Both parts. So yeah, I did that. Simone, what'd you do? Well, I know what you did today.
Well, I'm gonna talk about today because I don't remember the rest of the week. It's a blur, but I'm sure there wasn't any self-care thing. We went to the pool today. We stayed in there for hours. So I don't know what was going on, but it was there was nobody in the pool. We had the whole pool to ourselves for a while, and then when people did come, they were in their own little section. So we got to like have our own space, get some sun. Y'all know I like being outside. And it's good exercise too, to swim, of course. And just chilled out today with the family. So that was really nice. And I have been, of course, y'all know I'm pregnant, so I'm taking more naps and just letting myself rest, which I didn't do that in my first pregnancy. But at the big age of 36, I'm like, just go lay down.
So it's close to 37, you just
not that
embrace
close.
Those naps.
I'm not that close. No, I'm not. I'm very far away. But so those are the self-care things that we did, which is good. And it's summertime. So, I will say it was a tough week because Kaden was home. So that's why I couldn't remember any self-care because it was just rough. But he's going back on Monday, so that will be a piece of self-care.
Wait a minute. So can we say more about this for just one moment? Was Kaden at home because he didn't feel well?
He did not feel well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was sick. He was sick.
And also, backstory: Mommy wants him to be at home until he's at home, and she wants him to go.
It's both.
It's both.
It's both. I don't want him there, but I don't want him gone.
Simone definitely wants it both ways.
Oh my gosh. But I'll be happy. The house is just dirtier when he's here.
I bet. I saw that thing.
It's like,
yeah.
So anyway, that's gonna make me upset. So let's just move on because the house is a mess because of him and his towers and dinosaurs and all that mess.
His Lego lands. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So as usual, we know, you all know, if you have watched for a while, that we always acknowledge folks in our community who are doing wonderful things. As Tiff reminded us for episode 49, we had Pastor Finley on, who is a mayoral candidate. And we just wanted to highlight him and his campaign and all the wonderful things that he is proposing for Louisville. If he were to become the mayor, he's obviously a pastor of Kingdom Fellowship, and he's a community activist. So he's been out there in the streets, really out there in the streets, and definitely, has some arrests to show for it,
right?
Because of that good trouble, that we all appreciate. And so we wanted to highlight his website. So Finley the number 4, Finley4mayor.com. You can go there. You can donate money. You can also volunteer, donate your time, because I think that he has a wonderful team, as he said. But I mean, who doesn't need volunteers if you're, if you are running for some kind of office? So we hope that you will go there to the website and visit and donate, and also donate your time. We also wanted to highlight that July is BIPOC Mental Health Awareness Month. So if you don't know what BIPOC means, it means Black, Indigenous, People of Color. Okay, don't laugh.
I'm not.
It is different from POC, People of Color. It's a little bit different. I won't go into why it's different, but just for the non-whites, Mental Health Awareness Month. That's what it
is. Okay.
And their theme for 2021 is strength in communities. So, you can definitely go to their website. It's mhanational.org. So I guess it's mental health awareness national.org.
It's been. I feel like it's been a pretty big month for mental health awareness for the non-whites, so to speak. We've had a couple of big people that have talked about it. Naomi Osaka has been really talking about her mental health, and then just recently with the Olympics, we've had Simone Biles, who has withdrawn and from the Olympics as of right now, and so and she cites her mental health, and the more people are talking about it, I think it's great. She was talking about how not knowing where she's going to land, and when you're 10, 15 feet in the air and you don't know what you're doing, you need to go ahead and pull on out. And so I'm really glad that there are a lot of people. We talk about strengthening community. The one thing that I've read and heard quite a bit of are a lot of the older gymnasts that were wishing that they were able to do the same thing. Some of the ones that we idolized were like, I fell down, hit my head, nobody checked me, but I went in and still did X, Y, Z. And thank you, Simone, for doing what you're doing so that we have a future generation of people that are taking care of themselves and advocating for themselves. So that's it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard people who can't do not even one cartwheel talking about Simone Biles is an embarrassment and all this other stuff. It's like, are you kidding me? The girl don't have to do nothing else. She has the picture with all those medals around her. She ain't got to do nothing else if she don't want to. I'm very proud of her and so glad that she put her health first.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me wonder how many of the other, athletes that we have watched over the years who have not had the ability or feel like they could not take the mental break that they needed. Playing sick, playing through injuries, playing through difficult times in their lives where they feel like they just have to go out on stage and pull it off. So, I'm glad that people are prioritizing their health. And I wish people saw it as that. I have no idea what these folks go through. And I was just telling someone else, some of these athletes work their whole lives to get to the Olympics. What happens to them when they don't make the cut? Like when they get all the way there and they don't make first, second, or third, like who checks on their mental health then? Because I'm sure that's a lot to take on. It's like you've been doing this forever and you lost. Where does that leave you?
Yeah. And I just heard, go ahead, Brandon.
I was saying, and then throw in a pandemic.
Definitely.
And then throwing those plastic beds they had him sleeping on. What kind of stuff is that? We're Olympians. Give us I need the posturepedic.
The Sealy and the posturepedic, huh?
Right. Come on now. But yeah, I mean, even if you think about Sha'Carri Richardson, I know we're all really upset about that situation, but you know, she was running while she just lost her mother like the day before in that one particular race. I mean, most of us would not be able to stand up straight if something like that happened. I'm not running nowhere. I lose my mama the day before.
Right.
So I mean, the mental strength and physical strength is just amazing. So good for Simone and for all those who are prioritizing their mental health. Brandon, would you like to orient us to the episode?
Please.
I don't know.
Please.
I don't know. Would I?
I mean, how can we ever go forward without your orientation, though?
I know.
Whatever. So, Pastor Finley brought up some really good topics a couple weeks ago, and we wanted to kind of go into it a little bit more. And we came up with this one: when leadership disappoints. And really, it's not directed to anybody or anybody that we know or anything like that. It's just the overall arching theme of, you know, what happens with corporations, what happens with whether it's the presidency, whether it's corporations, this, that, and the other. What happens when leadership kind of disappoints us? What are the steps that we take? How do we hold them accountable, or anything along those lines? So we wanted to see how that works and what that structure looks like, and how we can hold our leadership accountable for the actions that they've had. And do we, as employees, as citizens, what's our role in this, and how we can prevent this in the future?
That was such a consummate orientation, Brandon. I appreciate that.
Yes. It's such a good topic though, because Pastor Finley, I mean, he was never been my pastor, but if he was, I would totally be proud. I don't think he seems like he is not a disappointment in any way. So we're just, you know, speaking truth to power and things of that nature. But I think this is important to talk about, because I think this has been a test. This period of time has been a test for a lot of leaders. And it's not gone well for some.
No, and for me, when we were talking with Pastor Tim on our last episode, and it was something he said about, you know, leadership involves recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses and building up a team to help you support you in your weaknesses, and also realizing that you can't do everything. You can't be everything. And for me, always the greatest quality of leadership is like recognizing that there's room for me to grow, you know? So I've just seen, just from, you know, this last, I will say 4 years in all shapes and sizes, you know, from celebrity personalities to, you know, mentoring figures to leaders in politics, people who have just like not risen to the occasion, who have this great responsibility of being a leader of something.
Yeah. And, you know, it's really shown. And I think one reason why this is kind of important, because I know for us, or let me not project, I know for me, sometimes you feel powerless in the situation too. It's like there's not a whole lot that you can really do about it. And it's just like you just moving.
I think for me, one of the biggest things is people's response to this pandemic. Like, I was so appreciative of how quickly my job in particular moved to take us remote and to get us ready so that we could provide psychological services to the students and still be there for them while still attending to our needs as clinicians, like keeping us safe. Like, yes, you all are still gonna be expected to work, but we want you all to do it safely. And so I really appreciated that. I think now we're seeing a lot of people wanting to like revert back to how things were without realizing like we're still in a pandemic. We're still, in fact, it's a big question mark about where we are in my mind. And it's like, what are we doing? You're opening up and people talking about we ban masks. What? How?
And leadership is kind of disappointing me there because I'm waiting for people to say, you know, I know Simone, you mentioned like there was a survey that went out for a particular organization that you're related to, and they were like, you know, we want to know how y'all feel about the mask. You want them on or off? And then after, you know, people voiced their opinion, they still said we're going to have them off. And I feel like I need someone even here in Kentucky. I need Uncle Andy to stand up in it like he did when things started off and just go, hey, we got to put masks back on, you know. But
That's
everybody
how you just took the point right out of my mouth. That's exactly. You are in this position to make the tough choices.
Mm-hmm.
You can't play both sides. You can't be like, well, we don't want to wear the mask, but if you want to do it, no, you are a leader for a reason. That's one of the disappointing things for me is like, wait a minute, you're in this situation, you make the money, you stand up in it, make the decision that we're supposed to have. Don't try to pander to both sides or three sides or whatever sides it is. Make the tough decision and let's make it do what it do. Are we doing masks or are we not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I thought it was really. Go ahead, Tiff.
I mean, I know nobody wants to close. Like, I feel like that's the end result if we don't go back to wearing masks because the infection rate is getting higher and higher for the Delta Plus extreme. If we don't put our masks on, like everything gonna be closed again.
Yeah. I don't get that. The school that we're thinking of sending Caden to, they sent out a survey and the outcome was that masks are going to be optional, even though the CDC is saying, well, we need, not that I'm in love with the CDC because they was doing some mess, but they're saying we need to have masks on whether you're vaccinated or not. So this is a school full of unvaccinated people, these children, you know what I mean? So what do you mean it's optional? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I know that there's a lot of pressure. I know it's a very polarizing issue, but just follow the science.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's tough for people who don't believe in science. So,
I mean,
I'm not saying they don't, but some people don't.
They believe in science and it suits them.
Right. And I need to know what their excuse is now. Because I know like under the previous president, they were reluctant because he took away a lot of their voice. So they were reluctant to do anything because they didn't want to be silenced more and pushed out more. But now he's not here and you have a president who's more reasonable. Why are y'all not coming out and saying strongly, CDC leadership, that you all need to be having your mask on? You know, I feel like CDC been done with us since we put gas in the garbage bags. They've been like this.
But you know, I also think that not the conspiracy side in me or whatever, but I really do think they're trying to have it both ways because I think one way is the way that we should go personally, and then there's another way that they're trying to go, which is trying to protect the money, keep us spending money, keep things open while saying some things here and there. And that's the part that's kind of, there's that economic financial factor. And, you know, I believe that we've played that. And I would even say even for Biden, I'm not saying that he's done everything great since he's been in. I think there's some things that we still should be doing and should be modeling after other countries. But that's out for a whole other day. But I think that's where the CDC is. It's just like they're trying to do it both ways. And it's just not right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's such a good point about the capitalism. That's what it's all about. You know, let's not shut down. Let's ignore the stats. Let's ignore people. Also, this whole, which I think, you know, is a white supremacist thing. I feel like some people have this survival of the fittest thing going on. Mm-hmm. Like if your genes are strong enough, then you will survive the pandemic. So let's just let it run wild. I believe that someone who thinks superior, that they just think, well, just let the Black and brown communities get it. They're weaker.
I think that's their definition of herd immunity.
Will stay.
I think that's how they define herd immunity. Yeah. Like whichever, they think of it as Hunger Games. Like whichever of us makes it out of this, you know, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
Which means we have been through slavery and we still here. Don't you know?
Yes. We are good.
We are good. We're going to be here. Yeah. Y'all the ones that can't handle stuff.
Well, they're going to the moon. They're going to leave us. They're going up to the moon and they're going to leave us down here.
That is disappointing. Why are people taking joy rides to the moon? What are we doing?
Space. Dang, Dave Chappelle really be predicting stuff, man. Dave Chappelle was like, Going,
We're going to space. Well, which way y'all want to take this? We have so many points. Which I want to get into first?
so when you're looking at,
Go ahead,
go ahead,
Brandon.
Simone. Go ahead. I've been chatty.
I was just gonna say, like, what is either one? Like, what? How do we call it out? And also, what does it look like? Like, either one of those. How do we? I was really thinking about how do we call it out?
Not even a call in. Simone's not even doing the call in. It's a call out.
The call
It's
out.
not worth the call in. You know, now I think I'm always going to say in my friend group, or even in my, I'll use the example of like being an elder at the church. I've said this before to my other elders. You know, if there's ever something I'm doing wrong, feel free to call me in, you know, and
Yes.
tell me. Especially if what I'm doing is detrimental to myself or other people. But I think sometimes you have to call out, and I think this last few years, I have seen more people calling out people on their bad leadership abilities, and I think and it's been so more so. What does it look like? It's been outdated leaders. Sadly, it's been a lot of men, a lot of men folk getting caught, specifically white men, getting called out for their bad leadership and just old patriarchy of ideas. So to me,
absolutely,
when leadership,
which I say old players and new technology.
old players and new technology,
old players in a new pandemic.
and
It's
a
like,
new pandemic,
listen,
and a new pandemic.
Have you not been watching us be productive this year and a half? Don't that it's not my job, it's someone else's, but somebody actually, a friend of mine, somebody's employer actually said, I like to see bodies in offices. I like to see people in the office. What? That's your whim.
Mm-hmm.
That is your personal
choice.
Your personal feeling. Like I like. Excuse me. I'm not here to do things that you like. I'm here to work and be productive. If we've been productive, which my friend has been in the team from what they have said, what do you mean? I like. It's irrelevant.
I've also had folks tell me that their boss, director, whatever, would like when they're on the camera, I'd like your camera to be turned on. Why? I'm working. Why you gotta see me? Why? It's just a lot of preferences, it seems to me. A lot of people's preferences. Well,
yes, personal, and it's just power tripping, you know. And I can see myself with the school, as I was telling y'all about. I can see myself being in the meetings, in the PTA or whatever it is they have, being like, what are we going to do about this? Mm-hmm. Are we still optional? Mm-hmm. And that would be a call out, because I don't think, well, maybe a call in initially, and if nothing happens, then I have to be more vocal.
Yeah, I think there's stages. I think there are definite stages, because like Tiff said, you know, because some people may be operating in a way that to the outside seems wrong, but they may not see it being wrong. Mm-hmm. for whatever reason. Yeah. So, you know, I'm A-okay with extending grace and going to that person and say, hey, let me show you this from a different perspective. And I think from then,
go ahead. I'll ask it. Go ahead. I'll ask when you get done.
And then from then, if it continues to be an issue, then at that point it's got to be a call out, because I've given you the opportunity to change your behavior there. Well, okay. What you gonna ask me?
How many call-ins before you get a call out, and how loud does that call out need to be?
Do you warn them? I'm about to call you out if you don't respond to the call-in.
It seems as though you did not respond to the call-in, so I'm gonna have to.
I think it's gonna vary per situation. I think it definitely varies per seriousness, so to speak. And I think in some instances, it's okay for multiple chances. For certain things, you get one. You know, for example, anything that's dealing with my family, you get one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You get one. And then, you know, if it's something that's dealing with my inconvenience, maybe you get a couple. You know what I mean? You know, there's different. It's kind of got to be different tiers. You can't treat everything the same way. How loud that call out is, ooh, that's tough. I don't have an answer for that one.
What do you think, Tiff? Do you have thoughts?
I was gonna say I think it varies for me by location, and maybe even how many people it affects. So if it's just one to one, if it's just me, and again we have rapport and relationship, I'll try to call in with you all day, especially as long as it's not physically or mentally harming me. But I think in situations where it affects a lot of people, and if that be like in work, I can maybe only call you in so many times. I may have to call you out just for paperwork's sake. And if I'm escalating it, if I'm going above your supervisor and we have to take, like performance and improvement plans, that might be how that goes. But if it's for church, I almost feel like you get lots and lots and lots of call-ins because it's church, and we're trying to be merciful and gracious and we're all sinners. It's like a different mentality, but I don't know if that's the wisest thing to do. But I know sometimes those things kind of get blurred. It's like when you go into the church setting, you're being more kid gloves with people as opposed to out in the streets. I might give you twice and that might be it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think people hide behind that in church. They hide behind, these different, whatever scripture or whatever, so that whatever they did, they don't have to be held accountable for it. Well, we're all sinners saved by grace. God knows my heart and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, no. But it depends on what it is, right? But it's like, after so many times, I start to feel disrespected.
Right.
I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you. There's another scripture.
What are you going to say?
I think, let me correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes we go, that's in the Bible and it's not in there. But to whom much is given, much is required.
Oh yeah, that is in there, right?
I believe so. I'm trying to
look at it now. Brandon, what's the verse?
Come on, Brandon. You got to pass.
Supposed to know.
Y'all gonna do me like that?
Come on, Brandon. You're supposed to know.
Y'all gonna do me like that? I see how it is.
It's in there somewhere. That is one.
Hey, the funniest thing? I was reading in the book of, was it Peter? I think I was reading in the book of Peter. And Peter says that a couple times in there. He's like, basically paraphrase, somewhere in the Bible it says.
Right. We don't know where, but it's in there. I'm looking for Genesis and Revelation.
And if it doesn't, it does talk about a lot about servant leadership. Now that's something I did just read in the Bible. And we just practiced with communion. We had communion today when we're recording. This is on a Saturday night. So we had communion today in our church service. And the Bible speaks a lot about servant leadership. And a lot of that is recognizing that you have to humble yourself in order to lead people, just as Jesus did for us. He's like, not to make this real biblical and religious or anything, but like setting that example of what it means to be a humble servant and to lower yourself, to not like lord yourself over those who are under you in leadership, but to be able to work alongside them and sweat with them. And I will say that even though, we're taking this biblical principle, I can apply it into my personal life, because that's what I've tried to do as a supervisor, as a leader on projects. I try to definitely exemplify servant leadership. And I'm not just giving out tasks, hey, you go do this, you go do that, but I'm there with you. I try to be there with you in the trenches to help.
Listen, my favorite bosses have been the ones that can effectively manage people, but still be in the trenches with those folks at the same time. Like, hey, I need you to do X, Y, Z. I need that done by Friday. But there, you still see them banging out a report or helping to do this. It's like nothing. Like for me, a leader, nothing should be beneath a leader to do.
Absolutely, 100%.
Like whatever. And I think we're kind of switching. I know I just switched it kind of to what does bad leadership look like. But I think good leadership is really one of those things. I'm the manager. I'm not going to do that. No, even if you're a manager at McDonald's, you got to fry some fries. Fry them fries up, plan for you out.
Right.
So
I value collaboration in leadership. Y'all know I've been studying for this big exam, and they talked about like, you know, autocratic leadership versus, oh gosh, I think it was called like inspirational leadership, or I can't remember, but it's the point. The difference was one was more traditional and controlling, and the other was like, I want to inspire my workers. I want to inspire the people that I work with by working with them. And I know as a supervisor, that's definitely, even if I know more than you about a topic, I'm not going to just, I don't want to make you feel inferior. I want to learn from you and also teach you things. So I don't know. So this is the question I want to pose that isn't on the list, but we can get to it now or later. Doesn't matter. Do you all think, because it's not on the list, do y'all think that the people who want to be leaders are the worst leaders? Like this idea that if you have the audacity to think that you could be a leader, like, oh, I can do it, that might mean that you might have poorer leadership qualities if that's what you're vying for. Like, I want to be the lead.
I don't think not all the time. I think there may be. It's we have to look at somebody's heart at that point, and which we can't do. I don't say it because I think there are some people who are probably born to be a leader. I see someone like Finley, and I see him as someone who I bet you growing up, he was doing stuff, organizing. He was, whether it was school or outside of school. I think some people just have that in them. So for them to be led to being a leader, and wanting to be a leader, I don't think that automatically. But if that individual, I think that mindset coupled with some other behavioral traits might lead to someone being a poorer leader.
So before I answer, I'm gonna circle back, as Keon would say. That scripture that I was talking about was Luke 12:48. That is actually in the Bible, to whom much is given, much is required. But I want to answer the question now and say that I think I agree with Brandon, and I think some people are natural born leaders. But to me, it's the way that they identify or come to the surface. I'm always, just from my general experience, I'm always concerned with somebody shouting, I am the leader. I am the leader.
Yes.
Like, let me lead.
Yes.
I can lead. I think when people who are natural born leaders, some of that, those other character traits come out, and they just sort of rise to the surface on their own, like naturally, not just because they push themselves out there in front of everybody else. And I also believe the opposite of what you said, Simone, and not that everybody who raises their hand says a leader makes a good leader, but sometimes it's the people who don't want to be leaders at all tend to make the best leaders, like who don't want it at all. I've heard that in tons of workshops and talks about being a leader, being a supervisor. It's always the person who doesn't want it that seems to be very good at it.
That has been my experience, is that the person who does it because they feel like, you know what, I can do this and people want me to do this and I'm capable of doing this. And also I will still follow and collaborate or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like those are the best leaders, the people who don't necessarily, they're not like me, let me be at the top. Because I find that some of those people who want to be on the top, they can't follow. Right. Like when it's time to follow and like just be a part of a team, a lot of times they can't do it. And to me, I'm always looking at why you want to be the leader. Is it because you want to control? Because that's not a good leader for me. I don't do well with that.
As the children will say, they do it for the clout. Do it for the clout.
Is that what they say?
I think so. I might be behind.
No, that's something else I gotta learn.
Listen, we don't know all the lingo. I don't know all of it.
The Migos had a song about it. I don't know who they are either, but they had a song about the clout, you know.
All I know is
I'm a little ahead of you.
I know one Migo.
You know, just the one that's married to Cardi B, right?
Yeah. What's his name?
Offsetters.
Off top.
Off the cuff.
Offset. Just like his hair has joined us. I love his hair.
There he is.
This is daddy leadership. Not disappointing.
Not disappointing. Yes. Even in the middle of the show.
It doesn't even matter. He's precious.
Hi, Josiah, Budmaker.
Hey, Josiah.
What's the big idea?
What's the idea?
He doesn't want to talk to us tonight.
Are those his night clothes? It's hot, Josiah. You gonna burn up
I
in
know,
that?
man. It ain't
Take that off.
He does not care if it's hot, but it's actually pretty nice outside right now. But he does not care. He wants to wear his X-Men pajamas. So everybody say hey to Josiah.
Hey, Josiah.
Good luck with them.
Aunt Wanda says she has those meatballs for you. She has some meatballs waiting for you.
Ooh.
Meatballs.
He's like, I'm too tired for meatballs.
Listen, off topic, my kids ate so many meatballs at Simone's mama's house. It was hilarious.
Yes.
And they still talk about it to this day.
That was like 2 months ago.
Bragging.
Yeah.
I had 4 bowls and 5 meatballs. I was like, okay.
Meanwhile, Kay is trying to finish his 1 bowl, man. He's just trying to.
Kay never did finish the bowl.
Hours to eat over here. We got no problems with the food.
So I have a question back on the topic of our discussion. You all are in, professional fields. Has your job ever offered resources to help cultivate your leadership or train leaders or even to like bring out your leadership abilities?
Definitely. We have lots of opportunities to lead lots of different things. If there's trainings that we want, they will offer to pay for those things. I mean, they pay for the test I'm taking, they paid for my package, and that was not cheap. So I think that they definitely feed or try to encourage people to grow and advance, which is important.
Yeah, I've been to multiple retreats. I mean, day-long retreats. If there was, and I'm always encouraged to study and to read and to gain more knowledge. I'm also encouraged to lead out in certain things as well. And just because I have a director, that doesn't mean that they know everything. And so there's something that I know that they may not. I've been encouraged to lead out in those things as well. So yeah, I think jobs, I think it also helps that my directors are in their late 30s and early 40s as well. So I think that helps.
So did you want to say something, Simone?
No, I was just saying, yeah, that's great.
I didn't think about this until I asked it and heard you all responding. And since we're talking about, these parallels between like church life and work life, I noticed that in churches, we get a lot of opportunity to be leaders, but no resources. But in our jobs, we get opportunities and resources. And I wonder if that impacts why sometimes, that those leadership qualities don't transfer over in the church setting, and we may end up flopping or, flailing or, running out of energy near the end of our term or something like that. Because I don't feel like we have the support and resources to cultivate our leadership in those different ministries or realms like we should.
Yeah, I know there was a particular person who was running a pretty substantial program during the pandemic and wanted resources and couldn't get them, even though they were trying to do a ministry that is so needed, that really hadn't been doing much for a while, and they were cut off. It's like, oh, I need this. And leadership was like, nah, just call so-and-so, go look at the website. And it's like, where's the resources?
Yeah.
Want to provide something meaningful to the community, to our church community.
Yeah, the 3 of us have been in the church for all our lives and together over 20 years. Wow. In various stages of stuff. And I don't think I have ever, and I've been over departments, and I have never gone to any type of church leadership retreat. I'm not saying they don't exist. Let me be clear. They may exist, they may not, but I have never been asked to go. I have never gone on any type of church leadership retreat function, sat in on a class or anything like that, because what you do in the church, I think it is very, what you do in the church is very similar to kind of how you do things outside of that, right? Mm-hmm. So I think but there are some nuances, some differences. So I think you have to get that training somehow, right?
Yeah, and to speak to for our specific denomination, we belong to the South Central Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. I'll say to their credit, they have like a leadership training on each ministry that they offer either in Nashville or in Alabama, like once a year, which is fine. But I don't think there's any, that's like if U of L had a big training, but it's a U of L based training, for my institution, but not at my department level or not even in my specific organization level. It's just like there's very broad training within, there's no in-house support after that. There's not even, from what I've seen, you don't even get much changeover from like past leader to present leader. It's just like, here you go on out there.
Yeah.
Never have I ever seen, other than in the church, when people ask you for money and you don't know where the money going. And also, you might not get your money back when you pay for things. I know someone who was over a committee and they were spending, so visitors could have things, and then reimbursement.
Nowhere.
Where?
Nowhere.
I mean, you might get it, but it's going to take a while.
Nowhere to be found.
But that's where, and again, we church, for y'all who don't know, we church folks. We've been in the church forever. So a lot of our experience comes from that. The church be operating in ways, I'd be shocked that churches really be surviving out here. Once you get at the level, that I've been very fortunate to get it, I know church board, business. I've been on the board for a while now, and it's just like, how are we still running?
You would have been in jail for that out in the corporate world.
Fired, removed,
disgraced,
detained, demoted.
At the very least, they're gonna be like, Brad, you need to go ahead and do something else with your life.
Do you want us to sit you down, or do you want to sit yourself down?
I mean, there are things that happen in the church, period, not just our sector, but I've been exposed to a Baptist church meeting, just to show you it happens across places. And there was a leader who was acting like he, just lost his poor little mind and doing things that I don't think any pastor should ever do in a pulpit or before people. And again, in the real world, performance improvement plan, 90-day suspension, maybe loss of some benefits, you may have lost your job, but only in church can you do stuff however you want, for however you want, unchecked, until you're ready to stop doing it. It seems like that's the only way things work. And not just the churches I belong to, but churches just period. It seems to be that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing that does separate is it's a business.
Until
outside. We don't see the church as a business until we ain't got no money. Versus outside in the quote unquote secular world, it's a business, and this is going to your behavior is going to affect my bottom line. I can't have that. But in church, like you said earlier, Tiff, we are supposed to give up. Oh, they said they weren't going to do it no more, so we got to forgive them. It's the 70 times 7 rule. We just got to forgive them. We just got to, they're going to do, no, God's still, you guys still working on you. So we need to give grace, and we have to let them do things. And that's just wild to me.
That's when them scriptures come in for me with the much is given, much is required, and then also the harvest is ripe, with laborers are few. Maybe you don't need to be a laborer. Maybe
your time is done.
Yes. Many are called, but few are chosen. A lot of y'all are called and don't need to be chosen.
Right. And it's like, how do we say that to each other? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it's tough because, I think that's why a lot of young people, a lot of millennials and things are leaving, because, we tend to call stuff out. We're asking why. And if there's no answer or it's not satisfactory, then we just leave.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
I gonna shamelessly plug myself. I wrote a wonderful article about millennial mentoring a year or two ago, but it actually, no joke, really helped me understand how other millennials really think about how they want to be mentored by their leaders. And that whole, like, I want to be able to, yes, I want to be able to learn from you, but I also want you to be able to learn something from me, like that mutual exchange of information. And then I also want you to have respect for the things that I value, which is, I think our generation does not value working long hours like like the generation before us does. Like just work, work, work till you're dead, or work, work, work till you retire till you're 75. I feel like we feel much differently. And if our jobs are not really lined up with our values, with our personal values, we're not really happy there. So I think when you apply that type of logic to a church setting, I think the same stands. Like I want to be able to get things from my pastor or from leaders or whatever, but I also want you to see me as valuable. I want you to be able to get something from me as well. I want to work. I want to be a asset to this, because me being here, I'm obviously invested if I'm here, right? Because we could be doing other stuff. We don't have to be sitting in these pews or doing anything. We want to be a part of this community, but if you keep pushing folks out, of course they're not going to want to come and be a part.
Yes. 100%. So yeah, I think this is definitely more church heavy than I realized it was going to be.
Started leaning,
but there's a lot there. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just there's a lot there, and I think we're expecting a lot.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question that's going to take us back to the professional world. Mm-hmm. Ooh, it's not on the list either. So we're talking about, well, actually, it is kind of the tokenization of leaders, right? So putting Black faces in high places just to say that we're doing it. How has that situation worked out for y'all?
Not well. Not well. A lot of folks, oh, we need a diversity committee, diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. Do you want to be on it? It's like, oh, because I'm brown, Black, what? It just leads to being overworked. There's this leaning out when you have like white folks who need to be doing the same kind of work but don't, because they assume, well, you're going to do it, you're fine. And it's not a good feeling. It leads to, just burnout, being drained, and resentment. And it's like, do you want me to do this because I'm Black, or because you think I have the skills to do it? It's just tokenism.
Yeah. And I think that gets harder the higher up you go, or depending where you work, where you see less Black and brown people. It's almost like I feel like I need to do it because there's only like one of me here. And if I don't do it, I don't want a bunch of non-people of color deciding things for me, even though I want them to be there to learn and to grow and invest in the committees and whatnot. But I also feel like I want to have a voice. But I also don't want to just be picked to be on this committee just because I'm the only Black person in the department, So it's like a double-edged sword, but at the same time, it's like that thing where you want to be invited even though you're not coming. It's like,
oh yeah,
I want you to invite me.
The invite, but I'm gonna decline.
But I want to be able to decline as well.
Right. Give me the option to decline.
Yes.
You're a fool for that one, there.
Seriously, yeah. And I mean, in my profession, like in our counseling center, we have a lot of, because of everything going on, we have a lot of people who will call in and just ask to speak to, a person of color or a Black person in particular. So that means that our schedules, or we might get more intakes than non-white staff. So that leads to us feeling more pressure and more, just more, because the sheer amount of people who just want to see us. Now, on top of that, we're doing the outreaches for the people of color, and it's a lot. And it's just like, how do we balance out? How does leadership work to balance out the, lack of balance, if that makes sense?
Another question that I thought of should be a quick answer. I know we're getting too close to the end. Does a good worker is someone who works really, really well, star of the blah 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 of the show. You know, not management, but they're just a really good worker. That automatically makes them a good leader.
I don't think so. If they're a good worker, does that make them a good leader?
If they're really good, or they're really good at their job, does that make them qualified in and of itself to be a good leader?
Oh, I feel like I'd be more likely to say I would love to see them in a leadership role because they work so well just being part of the team. Again, that's what I was saying earlier. I feel like if you are willing to work and you're not the leader and you're just willing to be like one of the worker bees or whatever, I feel like that makes a great leader.
Yeah.
Potentially, if they want that.
Okay.
Some people like to be behind the scenes.
Yes, I like to be behind the scenes. way behind the scenes. I was gonna say
all that check clear, I'll be way behind.
Way behind the scenes. Yeah, I was gonna say the same. I think some people prefer being just team players. You know, I think about myself a lot on like group projects in school or even sometimes in work, and I'm there to help. I want to play along and play my role, but I'm not always eager to be in the front. And also just because I do a good job, I don't necessarily want you to thrust me in the front. I mean, I just have, I think some people just have a good sense of like wanting to do good work. And I don't know if that always equates to them wanting, you know, to them being a good leader, because I feel like there are so many other things that you have to think about once you become a leader of something, you know, how, I mean, optics is one. How does my tone come off? You know, who can I be friends with you if I'm your leader now? Like, I have to have integrity. I have to have honesty. Just so many things that also go into that, like character traits. I think some people just don't want the pressure of that leadership.
That's fair.
This is a big one that I feel like is a big one. We didn't talk about it. I don't even know if it's on the list, but as a leader, I need you to give credit where credit is due. All of the good things that happened from the team were not your idea.
Not your idea.
So I really appreciate like the culture at my job when somebody is saying, "Oh, I really loved how you all came up with this, whatever, this flyer." Whoever the leader was might say, "Oh, so and so actually spearheaded that." You know, that was, I believe, so and so. Oh, that was a really good point you made. Actually, so and so made that point. I didn't make that point, but thank you for pointing that out. I love that. That is so important to me, because just because you're the leader, that doesn't, you may be the face, maybe you are, you know, the person in charge, but everybody is working together. So you need to give credit where credit is due to your team.
Give credit to your hands and feet, because honestly, you, for the most part, probably just oversaw that project, you know, or even dictated the idea. It took other people physically moving
to make it happen.
To make that happen. So, you know, I appreciate that too. I'm also in a work culture that big ups people all the time. Like they just encourage like supporting each other in that way, or not, you don't get one person taking the whole credit for the idea. It's always the team. The team did this, the team did that, you know, and it's giving credit where credit is due. Because I think people, that's another part for me, and it goes into being good leaders. I think people love to feel valued, you know. And if I, as the leader, just keep saying, yeah, thank you, you know, I did that, you know, and not ever saying who actually was behind it, I think they're going to start to lose interest in doing things for me, you know. Why? If Tiffany gonna take the credit, let Tiffany do it, you know, because that's my mentality. That's how I feel about stuff. Is if you're gonna keep taking the credit, I'm just gonna let you do it next time.
And it even means a lot more too, and it can be really detrimental if you're a white leader and you don't give people of color on your team who done doing the work their credit. It starts to feel really just exploitative. Which word? What is it?
We are not English. Maybe.
Exploitation is happening. I think it's exploitative, but it's not a good feeling. So I think leaders have to be aware of culture too, and how that plays into things. Stuff feels different based on where you come from and the historical context. You know, if I'm doing work, and you know, if you think about slavery, we built this country, but we ain't got no reparations.
No,
y'all want to take the civil rights and stuff out the school? Like what?
No credit.
Y'all don't want to give. Okay. The slaves wasn't paid. Like, just don't. That's very important to me for white leaders. in particular.
I agree.
Know who your employees are and give them credit.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah. So are there other things we want to talk about on this topic before we close?
I don't know if I think we've said it. I'll go ahead, Brandon. I'll say it.
I was gonna have kind of like my ending thoughts, but go ahead, Tiff.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe like a little round robin before we go. We had on here like what goes into being a good leader.
Robin.
Yeah, like what are like your top 3 things about like what?
I don't like round robin.
Why not?
I don't like that.
Well, call me in then. Why don't you? Like your top
top 3 things.
Top 3 or 4. Like I know it might be hard to pick like a few. Top 3 or 4 traits that you think makes a good leader.
Small, you gonna go?
Yeah, I would say for me, collaboration, communication, and trust. I really like back and forth, the collaboration. As a leader, you don't know everything. What was the other one I said? Collaboration. What did I say?
Trust.
What was the other one? It was another C.
Communication.
Communication, yes. Like I can't stand it when we have a plan and then you change at the last minute because you're the leader. No, if we have a plan, then let's stick to the plan. Yes. Okay, because that's just and then that impacts trust, because if I can't trust you to do what we plan to do or to carry out, even if you didn't like it, even if you don't like the plan, if the team came up with a plan, that's the plan, and that helps me feel trust, to feel like you're a trustworthy person, and just being who you say you are, and doing what you say you're gonna do. You know, even if I don't like what the outcome of whatever is, if I know that what you said to me is the same thing you said to so and so, then I can trust you. But if I hear different stories from different people, I don't trust you and I can't work for you.
Yeah.
I know for me, top 3. Number 1, I think for me, humility. I think that that's a huge one. That's a huge ego. Not that ego tripping stuff is just, it's never a good look. It's never a good look. Humility, the collaborative part, I'm gonna steal that one from you, Simone. And then another one I'm gonna add is merciful. And as a supervisor or manager or whatever, you're supposed to divvy out punishment as necessary. But I think a part of now, especially, we're understanding that there's so much that are going on in people's lives that if someone who has always been on time all of a sudden starts to run late, I know you can write that person up and do it 3 strikes, you're out. But I'd like that manager or supervisor, whatever, to go to that person and say, hey, I'm noticing this, what's going on?
Yes.
And having that aspect to understand that not everything is black and white, but there's a whole bunch of gray in this.
Yes. Love that.
Yeah. And for me, I like to see in my leaders things that I try to impart myself. I like to lead the way I want to be led. So I'm gonna take 1 or 2 of Brandon's and say, instead of mercifulness, I want to call it empathy. But at the same
that's the word.
But the same thought though, like I want to
that's the word. That's probably a better word to use.
Yeah, I want a leader to have compassion for people's issues, people's places, and what they may be going through. Because you're right, like you're dealing with people, and I think when we deal with different people of different backgrounds, different ages, different all things, you got to just kind of have a bit of compassion, and also realizing that everybody doesn't work at the same speed as you. Humility, recognizing that you don't know everything. And that to me, I think that's one of the best traits a leader can have, is realizing that I don't know it all and I can grow. There's always room for me to learn something new. My favorite one is servant leadership. This is probably one I believe in the most. Is I'm not going to say, here's a project, go do it. I want to know how to do it and do it with you, or be your backup and do it for you. Like if something should happen to you, I want you to know that like I'm there with you to help do it. And that's what I think I value in a good leader. And then I'll just add transparency. I want to know what you know. I want if there's something that you can share with me, because I think that builds rapport and relationship with people. The fact that you're sharing something with me that you didn't have to tell me. Like if you got news from the top and you're letting us know, like, I can't really tell you this is off, off the record, but this is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. This is going to change, our schedules or whatever. But willingness to share that with us is, like, to me, the sign that the leader is, like, taking interest. They're have a lot of care for you. They're worried about, how this is going to make you feel, giving you time to adjust to it. So those are my things.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention, I remember when Pastor Finley was talking, and we were talking about, I remember I was saying something about how humble he had to be in order to do whatever it was. I was talking about, it seems like you're a humble person, or have to, tap into that humility. And he said, in terms of working with a team and not taking all the credit and all that kind of thing. And he said, yes, I try to be humble, but he also said it's really just about common sense, because there's no way that I'm good at everything.
That's
so it's not even so much about humility. It's just, I'm not good at everything. And that in and of itself is a humble statement. When you got people like I and I alone can fix it, which is a Donald Trump thing that he likes to say. You're gonna fail every time, and don't nobody want to work under somebody like that.
And that with that kind of spirit, you develop a team, because you're developing a relationship. You develop a team that makes you look good, even if you're not that great a leader, because you have these people who are riding with you, who believe in you. They got your back. They're making you look good. So in so many ways, like, the way people, he's such a good leader, because he has all these people holding him up, for better or worse. They're propping him up, making him a good leader.
And everybody doesn't deserve that. So I'm all for people not propping up bad leaders. Let it burn.
Let it fall.
Let it burn. Oh, you got it? Okay, you do it.
I tell you, that's been more of my thought this pandemic. You got it.
Yeah.
You good. You got it. That's fine. Why invest? Exactly. Why invest in leadership that doesn't invest in you? Is my thought.
That's a wonderful way to end it. Are we going to do the All-American recap?
We have to.
I hate to, because
it's the end.
It's gone. Mondays at 8 are never the same, because I watch it usually.
Yeah, the weekend for me. I think it took me 2 weeks to watch the last couple ones.
I was gonna say, Brandon, do you want to go first since you watched it last? You have probably the most fresh perspective on this.
All I'm gonna say is they could have had some more information at the end. They didn't set up next season. So the first episode of next season better start off with a bang, or else I'm gonna be really upset, because the last episode ended with like 5 different plot things. I'm like, nah.
I knew it. Either I said that we either have 5 more episodes, or they are gonna just set up the next season like amazing, because they didn't resolve nothing.
Nothing.
Only thing that got resolved was the parents got married. So we know they're back together. Yes. Billy and whatever the mama's name is.
Laura?
Her name.
Yeah, I call it DA. It was DA Baker for a while.
Okay, DA Baker, who's no longer the DA because of her raggedy daughter. Yeah. But that's all that got resolved, I believe.
Liv's so raggedy, she really is.
So this is my prediction for the next season opener. I think that the game is going to be called for delay, because old girl's missing.
Fight.
No, not the fight, because they said they resolved the fight. They was going to come out and play the game. But Layla's missing, and Coop might be dead. So I think the game's going to get interrupted. Then I don't get to finish it.
Can I just say the whole Layla plot is giving me Lifetime tease?
You know it.
Really they done took her phone. What young person, teenager, don't know what they phone? I can't believe I forgot my phone and then didn't go back. I don't care how far out I am. I'm going back for that phone.
100 miles? I gotta get me that phone.
I gotta go back. Right. I gotta have it.
She said, I can't believe I left my phone. And the little white girl's like, you don't need it.
You can just use mine. No.
My phone.
Which makes no sense because didn't Coop go on
tour?
Mm-hmm. So why was she going to? Doesn't make any sense. You need your phone for your artist. That doesn't even make any sense.
Mm-mm. Also, I did not think that Andre was putting drugs in the box under the bus. I thought it was explosives. I thought the bus was gonna blow up.
Oh, I knew
because he didn't want to get on. He's like, I'm gonna ride in the car. I'm good. I'm gonna follow you. I thought they was gonna try to blow the bus up.
I'm trying to figure out why Coop had to approach Mo at night. Like, girl, she just
why?
Can you wait till tomorrow morning? You didn't have to go to her
in the alley.
Mm-hmm.
If she set you up with drugs, she might. Like, why would you go to her home or wherever she was? Why would you do that?
Scenario. So Coop is following Mo and Preach is following Coop. Because how else is Preach gonna be there at like the exact moment?
Everywhere.
Who watching the daughter? Who's watching the little girl?
Where is the daughter?
Where is the daughter?
Right. Is she somewhere watching her mom pull a gun?
Is she still even his daughter? That's my question. I wonder if
that's my question too.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, because she could have set all that up
to distract him.
Yeah. Although I will say I really feel like the lawyer. What's her name? The lawyer's name? We didn't remember.
Laura Baker.
No. Oh no, I'm sorry. The one who shot Coop.
Mo.
I really feel like she played the long game here. Like, was there no other way you could have done
way too long?
Like, you've been in here since the first episode of the season or around there. Like,
that's all you got to show for it.
Yes.
Drugs.
That's why I thought it was a bomb. I thought this was gonna be like we taking her out in one shot. Like
explosion. It was gonna be speed.
Yeah,
your bus gotta go a certain amount of miles, and now it's gonna blow up.
That was her big plan to get her locked up. Man.
And when did Coop take the drugs out?
She said after Andre loaded them up, she took them. She went through the box as soon as he left. They never showed it, but she implied that she went through those boxes.
Yeah. So I want to see what happens with Layla and the psycho girl. Layla gets on my nerves. Get out of my house. Get out. You can't stay.
I don't know.
You got to go.
I think you keep the psychos comfortable. I don't know if you want to anger the psychos. They might go off on you. Like, to me, if I'm a friend with a psycho, at least I know when the danger is coming,
I don't know. So it was a very good episode.
Yeah. First appearance of Layla's dad all season. Haven't seen him since last season. Since he was cheating with old girl outside the hotel room. It's been a while. Haven't seen him. He came in right for the end. Just enough time to realize his daughter was missing.
And Precious too. Precious was gone for
most of the
several episodes.
Yeah.
But I love the show. I think it comes back October.
Patience.
Yeah, Patience.
Oh, sorry.
Precious might have been the girl he was cheating with, though. You remember he was having an affair?
Precious from Precious.
No, okay. Very different
character. Wrap it up.
It's time to go now. Let's do our gratitudes.
Yes. But the new season comes back in October, I believe, right?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I guess that'll be their fall or their spring semester or whatever. They were like homecoming. That's around fall time. So I guess we'll be doing their spring semester.
They got to graduate. So gratitudes. What are y'all thankful for?
I am thankful, and this is a shout out to one of our former guests who was on, my little cousin Cheyenne. I'm so grateful that she has got settled in. She is going to be a student at Howard.
No, Howard.
Howard
She could have gone to Harvard.
Yeah, she could have gone to Harvard. Howard University School of Law. Very, very proud of her and her 4-year scholarship having self. It's a very prestigious law school that she got into, and just very thankful that she's going to further her career and get her degree. So very proud of her. Thankful to be a part of her journey, I guess.
Yes, I'm thankful for that too. I'm so proud of Cheyenne. That's my buddy. And I'm just really, really proud of her and her accomplishments, despite everything, like the struggle to get through school and undergrad and all of that kind of stuff. She's been through a lot, but she made it. I would also say just grateful for rest on the Sabbath. Really, really needed that. And I'm hoping to do better with my Sabbath keeping and enjoying it in ways that we need to, and not treating it like a regular day, because I think that's a byproduct of the pandemic as well. But it was nice to really spend the Sabbath like out in nature and all that good stuff.
Well, you tried to go to church.
I tried to go, but I wasn't being led.
I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but it's been actually this whole month of July, I have not had to work on a Sunday. And it's been crazy. For those that don't know, I've worked 6 days a week for the last 10 years. And so I'm down to 5 days a week now, which is crazy to say.
I was going to ask you, had it been longer than that? Because you worked in retail for some years. I know you had to work Sunday.
But when you say it like that, I might have been, because I didn't work every Sunday, but I did work most Sundays. And so I've really been working Sundays for 15 years or more. And so not doing it for a solid month and really having that back to back has been, my kids get on my nerves. There's no doubt about that. But being able to take them to swimming lessons and seeing how happy they are that I'm taking them to swimming lessons. And, when I first took my kids, started this month, they were like, "Why are you taking us to swimming lessons, Daddy?" And I was like, "Dang. My kids know I work on Sundays," but they've been really, really happy. We've been doing stuff and not having to, by the time we're getting home is the time that I would have normally gotten home from work, around that 4 o'clock or so. By that time, I don't have to squeeze in a whole day in a couple hours. I actually have the whole day. So little monsters, I guess I'm thankful to see them.
Well, those are all good things and good notes to end on. So I will say our usual. Till next time, please continue to wash your hands, wear your mask,
and put your mask on, vaccinated or not. That's what we're doing now.
Whether you vax that thing up or not, put your mask on.
I'm not doing that. I don't like that. Vax that thing up. I don't like it. We didn't mention this, but we have. So we're going. Obviously, we're going to go all the way through August with various topics that we have planned for you all, and then in September we are all going on maternity leave.
All three of us.
So we'll talk more about baby. So we just wanted to kind of put a bug in y'all's ears so you'd be ready for that, for those who watch on a regular basis. That will be here in August and then be taking a little break.
So when we break, we're not gone. We're going to finish out the year. We're going to come back sometime.
All having a baby.
Yes, whenever baby allows us to come back.
New surroundings, very possible.
Yes.
Mom will be doing the videos from a totally different place.
With laying down,
strapped to her chest.
Yes, there will be breastfeeding on these corona times.
Hey.
Yes.
Look at Brenda.
Bring your lactation specialist. Go ahead and bring her on.
Absolutely.
I'd be good. Yep. But
all right, y'all.
Until next time, have a good night. We still want justice for Breonna Taylor, and as always, Brandon,
we remain yours.
Remain yours. Cuando, wait. What is the Spanish? I don't know. I have to ask my mom.
Segundo too, right?
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. Don't cancel me, Spanish speaking people. I'm so sorry.